When I died, I wasn't the one who suffered. It was the one who stayed behind. Have you ever heard someone say that? It seems strange to think that the pain of death is not in the one who leaves, but in the one who remains. This is one of the most repeated phrases by people who have had near-death experiences. Those who were clinically dead for a few minutes and came back with stories that challenge everything we think we know about life and its end. One such story is about Marcos, an ordinary man who suffered a cardiac arrest and was declared dead for almost 4 minutes. When he came back, what struck him most was not the fear of what he saw, but the pain on his wife's face when she opened her eyes again. According to him, on the other side, I only felt peace, but here it was in pieces. This type of testimony forces us to look at death in a different way, and perhaps in a more human way. Have you ever been through something like this? Or do you know someone who has had this transformative experience? Stay with me until the end, because what you are about to discover now may surprise you and change the way you see life, grief, and even love. And when we hear stories like this of people who crossed the line between life and death and came back saying that the real pain is not in leaving, but in seeing the one we love suffering, it's impossible not to get emotional. Because deep down, we've all felt this fear. It's fear of losing someone, fear of staying. And maybe that's why these near-death experiences touch us so much. They don't just talk about the end, but about what we do with the time we still have. This topic resonates with you. Leave a comment below with what has touched you the most so far. Have you ever experienced something similar? Do you know anyone who has come back from the dead with a remarkable story? I've read everything, and it is precisely these exchanges that transform this channel into a space of truth, acceptance, and reflection. Also, take the opportunity to like this video. This really helps the content reach more people who, like you, are looking for answers, relief, or just a little peace. And if you want to continue diving into this type of deep subject full of real stories and messages that resonate in the soul, subscribe to the channel. Your presence here makes all the difference, because what comes next may completely change the way you understand life and what happens when it seems to come to an end. Most people imagine death as something dark, suffocating, full of pain and despair. But when you listen to those who have actually experienced IADs, who have been declared dead, stopped breathing, had their hearts stopped for minutes, the description is completely different from what we usually fear. What they report in fact is something surprisingly serene. Many say they felt no fear. On the contrary, what took over was a feeling of lightness, as if the body had finally let go of the weight of the world. There was no more physical pain, nor the noise of an anxious mind, just silence, peace. Some say they saw themselves outside their own bodies, observing everything as if they were mere spectators. Others claim to have heard soft voices, seen welcoming lights, or even been welcomed by deceased relatives. It is as if, for a few moments, they had access to the backstage of existence, a dimension where time loses its meaning and love has a different, it's more intense and inexplicable density. And when they return changed. Because once you experience the total absence of fear, it is impossible to continue being the same person. The most curious thing is that almost everyone says the same thing. It wasn't hard for me, It was hard for those who saw me leave. The pain we normally associate with death is not in the experience of dying itself, but in the emotional impact it has on those we love. It is those who remain who cry, blame themselves, dwell on memories, and struggle to find meaning in the void. Those who leave seem to pass through a portal where everything that causes us despair here, there, dissolves. Now I want to go even deeper into this subject, because there is something that these people saw or felt that may explain why they come back so transformed. A hidden truth that can change the way we deal with grief, with attachment, and even with the decisions we make every day. Comment here. That makes sense to me. If any part of this journey has touched you thus far, it's curious how death, when seen from the inside, seems so different from the pain we feel from the outside. For those who leave, the end can be light, silent, even welcoming. But for those who stay, the impact is overwhelming. There is a type of suffering that has no form or explanation. It is the absence that fills every space. the echo of the voice that is no longer heard, the habits interrupted by the absence of someone who was part of the routine. This is the invisible pain of those who survive the loss. It doesn't show up in tests, but it changes the way the person breathes, sleeps, feels, and even decides to move on. And this is where many people find themselves, not in the place of the deceased. But in the place of the deceased, maybe you have never been clinically dead, but you have had to deal with grief, with that heavy silence after a final goodbye. And this experience, although deeply human, is one of the loneliest. Because the pain of those who remain is rarely fully understood. It is a kind of internal journey where you struggle with memories, regrets, and often with a longing that no one sees, but that eats away at you from within. That's why this video is also about you, about those who have ever wondered if they could have done something differently, said something more, or simply been more present. About those who carry a silent guilt for not being able to prevent the loss. The hidden truth behind this journey is that most people who go through this are not just dealing with the death of someone else. Within themselves, a change of mindset forced by the emotional impact that absence causes. And in this process, powerful revelations emerge. What really matters, what was neglected, and how valuable time, the time that slips away without. Warning is, now I want to go even deeper into this subject, because there is something essential about the way these losses transform not only our feelings, but also our decisions, our relationships, and the way we look at life from now on. Write in the comments, I'm on this journey too, if you have. Ever felt this silent absence on your skin? When someone returns from death, they rarely return the same. It is as if they have crossed an invisible threshold and seen life from the outside with different eyes, a different sensitivity, a different urgency. Many people who have been clinically dead report that, upon returning, they began to see the world in a completely new way. Things that previously seemed to important status, money, petty conflicts suddenly lose their weight. It is as if everything that consumed time and energy before the experience no longer makes sense. Instead, new values emerge. The silence of a hug, the lightness of forgiveness, it's the pleasure of being present without rushing. One of the most moving stories is that of a woman who was dead for 6 minutes after massive bleeding. When she regained consciousness, she spoke neither of pain nor despair. Her first words were, "I understood that we are here just passing through, and that life, even with pain, is a gift." This phrase carries a kind of hidden truth that few have the courage to face. We are always living as if time were infinite, but it is not. Anyone who returns from an experience like this comes back with a clarity that cuts like a knife, and with it comes transformation. Haste gives way to presence, judgment to empathy, demand to gratitude. It is not uncommon for these people to completely change their lifestyle. They change jobs, reconnect with people far away, and start talking more about spirituality. When asked what else they learned on the other side, the answer is usually similar. I have learned not to postpone what is true, to say I love you today, to forgive before it is too late. This doesn't come from books or advice. It comes from the profound impact of looking at existence with the certainty that it can end at any moment, and that everything we do has a weight, a consequence, a meaning that we don't always perceive in the midst of our routine. Now I want to go even deeper into this subject, because understanding what these people saw in the moment between life and death can reveal valuable secrets about how to live more fully, more presently, more consciously. Comment here, life is a gift, if this reflection also resonated with you, if someone who died for minutes comes back saying that the pain was not in the death, but in the person who was left behind, then the question that remains is, what are we doing with the time we have left? Because that's what these experiences reveal. The contrast between what we believe to be important and what actually has value. People who have been on the other side come away seeing more clearly what the rush of everyday life blurs. The beauty of small things. It's the weight of unspoken words. How much a simple gesture can have a real impact on someone's life. Many say they returned with an almost physical certainty that are not here by chance. That there is an invisible thread connecting everything: our choices, our relationships, our silences, and that the mission of being alive is perhaps not to achieve more, run more, or always get it right, but simply to be more present, to listen more, to love more, to forgive what weighs on us, to let go of what no longer makes sense, not out of fear of death, but out of gratitude for life. The hidden truth that these people tell us is that death, for those who have experienced it up close, is not the end, but a mirror. A powerful reminder that time is limited, yes, but it is also too precious to be wasted on pride, haste, or distraction. That is why they talk so much about empathy, about spirituality, about the courage to love, even when it seems risky. Because in the end, what we take with us and what we leave behind are not possessions, but bonds, sensations, presences that left a mark, words that touched us. Perhaps the greatest lesson is not to fear death, but to learn to value life, with all that it has that is imperfect, unpredictable, and precious. Because if the true pain lies in those who remain, then it is up to us to make this permanence lighter, fairer, more meaningful. Comment here. I want to live with more presence. If that thought also sparks something inside you. If you've made it this far, it's because some part of this message spoke directly to you, and that, to me, says a lot. So, if this kind of reflection does you good, if you feel that you need to continue exploring topics like this, subscribe to the channel. That way, we can continue on this journey together, exchanging ideas and looking at life with more awareness. Take advantage and leave the following sentence in the comments. I'm with you until the end, just so I know that you've stayed with me until now. I read everything with affection. And it's this exchange that keeps this space alive. And of course, if this video touched you in any way, leave a like. It helps this content reach more people who might need to hear exactly this right now. There is a video here that complements everything we talked about today. Click and continue with me there. The conversation is not over yet.